Do you remember the last time you actually bought something? And I don't mean swiping your card or clicking buy now on Amazon. I mean the last time you paid for a piece of technology, brought it home and it was entirely 100% yours. No strings attached, no mandatory online check-ins, no features locked behind a paywall. If you really sit down and think about it, that feeling is becoming a distant memory. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Tech in a Nutshell. Today we need to talk about the death of device ownership. We are living in 2026 and we are slowly, quietly being transitioned into a world where we don't buy hardware anymore. We just rent the privilege of using it. For the last decade, we have watched the software industry pull off the greatest heist in the modern consumer history. They took programs we used to buy once on a disk, Microsoft Office, Adobe Premiere, whatever it was, and turned them into monthly subscription, software as a service. It was annoying, but they sold it to us on the promise of continuous update and cloud storage. We grumbled, but we paid. But the tech giants looked at those recurring revenue charts and they got greedy. They realized that selling you a smartphone, a PC, or even a car every 5 years wasn't enough. They wanted to charge you every single month for the hardware sitting on your desk or parked in your garage. They call it hardware as a service. I call it the death of ownership. And if we don't start paying attention to how fast this is moving, you are going to wake up in 2030 realizing you don't actually own a single device in your house. Let's break down how they sold this to us. Because it started small. It always starts small. It started with printers. Companies like HP introduced programs where you didn't just buy the ink, you subscribed to the ink. If you stopped paying the monthly fee, the ink cartridge that were physically sitting inside your printers right now would stop working. The hardware was there, the ink was there, but a software lock came down like a gelatin because your subscription lapsed. Then it moved to your gaming consoles. You bought a $500 box, but to play the games you bought with your friends over the internet you already pay for, you needed a monthly subscription. Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus normalized paying a toll to access the full capability of the hardware you already purchased. But right now, the most aggressive battlefield for the anti-consumer nightmare isn't on your desk, it's in your driveway. Let's look at the automotive industry, because car manufacturers are paving the way for what tech companies are about to do to your laptops and phones. A few years ago, BMW tried to charge people $18 a month to use the heated seats that were already physically installed in their cars. The backlash was massive. People lost their minds and BMW eventually backed down. We all patted ourselves on the back and thought the consumers won. We didn't. We just taught the industry to be smarter about it. Fast forward to today in 2026, General Motors recently revealed that they have 13 million people currently paying for the subscription. They are pulling in billions of dollars in realized revenue from OnStar, Super Cruise and locked-in tech features. Think about it. 13 million people are paying a monthly fee to use the tech built into the cars they already bought. Lucid Motors is putting their upcoming AI assistant behind a monthly paywall. And advanced self-driving could cost hundreds a month. This is the concept of artificial scarcity, and it is the most insulting business model ever invented. When you buy a modern device, whether it's a car, a high-end smartphone or a smart TV, the manufacturer has already done the math. It is actually cheaper for them to build every single unit with all the premium hardware installed. It streamlines their assembly line. So when you buy the base model car, the heating coils are in the seat, the sensors are in the bumpers, the wiring is all there. You are dragging around the physical weight of hardware you cannot use. You paid for the materials, the shipping and the installation of those components when you bought the car. But the manufacturers put a line of the code in the software that say, do not let the driver turn this on unless they pay us $15 a month. Now take the exact same logic and apply it to the tech industry. It is already happening. Look at the push for AI PCs and the latest generation of smartphones. We are being sold on this incredibly powerful neural processing units. These NPUs inside our processors that are supposed to revolutionize how we work, but read the fine print. More and more of the flagship AI features require cloud offloading, and companies are already laying the groundwork to start charging monthly subscription to access the full suite of AI tools. You paid $1,200 for a phone with a state-of-the-art AI chip, but to actually use the feature that were heavily marketed to you, you will need the Pro subscription. If you don't pay, your hardware is artificially nerfed. You are holding a Ferrari, but the software limit it to 30 miles an hour. And what happens if you decide to buy used? We are already seeing companies refuse to transfer software licenses to the second owner. You might buy a used smart device only to find out that the features the original owner paid to unlock revert back behind a paywall for you. This completely destroys the resale value of our tech and forces more people to buy new, feeding the corporate machine. This fundamentally destroys the core philosophy of how we buy tech. On this channel, I have talked a lot about future-proofing. The idea that if you spend a little more today on a better processor, more RAM, or a higher tier smartphone will last you 5 or 6 years instead of 3. You cannot future-proof a subscription. The hardware inside your PC or your phone might be physically capable of running the software of 2030, but it won't matter because the lifespan of your device is no longer determined by the silicon degrading or the battery failing. It is determined by a boardroom of executive deciding when to flip the switch and end support, or when to raise the subscription prices so high that you are forced to upgrade. This is why right to repair is so crucial and why companies fight it so viciously. It's not just about letting you replace a cracked screen or a dying battery. It's about who has ultimate authority over the physical object you hold in your hand. When Apple serialized their parts, meaning you couldn't swap a camera from one identical iPhone to another without Apple's software granting permission, they weren't doing it for your security. They were doing it to maintain a monopoly on the hardware ecosystem. They are establishing the precedent that you are merely the custodian of the device. You hold it, you charge it, but they own it. The entire hardware as a service market is projected to cross hundreds of billions of dollars in the next few years. In the corporate world, businesses are already leasing all their laptops and servers. They don't buy anything. And tech companies are trying desperately to bring that enterprise model to the average consumer. They want you treating your laptops and your smartphone exactly like you treat your Netflix account. Why does this work? Why do we let them get away with it? Because they weaponize convenience and they exploit our desire for the newest, shiniest thing. They know that dropping $2,000 upfront for a high-end laptop is painful. So they say, hey, don't worry about it. Just pay $60 a month and every 2 years we will swap it out for the newest model. It sounds great on paper. You always have the fastest technology. You never have to worry about selling your old gear. But let's do the math. By the time you have swapped that laptop twice, you have paid the full retail price, but you have zero equity. You own nothing to sell or hand down to a family member. If you lose your job and have to cancel that subscription, you don't just lose access to the newest tech, you have to mail the laptop back. You are left with nothing. They are turning the middle class into a generation of tech renters. We are subscribing to our lives, and the psychology shift is what scares me the most. We are being conditioned to accept that our devices are supposed to drain our bank account every 30 days. We are forgetting what it feels like to buy a piece of hardware, maintain it and upgrade it ourselves and use it until it falls apart. The satisfaction of building a PC, tuning it and knowing that every single frames per second belongs to you, that is becoming a niche hobby rather than the standard consumer experience. So what do we do about it? Are we just doomed to be walking ATM machines for the tech industries? It depends entirely on what we are willing to put up with right now. The automotive industry backed off heated seat subscription because consumers cause a massive PR nightmare. GM is only getting away with OnStar subscription because people are quietly paying for them. The industry is testing the fences like the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. They push, they see where the weakness is, and if we don't push back, they break through. If a company releases a device where hardware is locked behind a paywall, do not buy it. I don't care how good the reviews are. I don't care how sleek the design is. If you have to pay a monthly fee to unlock the full potential of the silicon you hold in your hand, you are being scammed. Support companies that sell complete products. Hold on to your devices longer. Stop feeling the pressure to upgrade just because a newer model has a slightly better AI gimmick that you will use twice and forget about it. Ownership is power. When you own your hardware, you control your privacy. You control your data. Just a pun intended on privacy and data. And you control your money. The moment you start renting it, you surrender all. That's it for now, folks. I hope you liked the video. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Are you currently paying the subscription to use hardware features on anything you own? And where do you actually draw the line? If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until then, hold on to your gadgets, keep your builds clean, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.